SLT Mobitel Fiber, the fiber of the nation. SLT Mobitel Fiber, the fiber of the nation.
Comfort Moodian භාගයයි කලක් පවතින අලුත් පෙනුමයි.
Tonight, we are not a punching bag. The Foreign Secretary lays down Sri Lanka's dreams for the Indian Ocean.
Now, we don't want to be the soccer pitch, the chessboard, or the punching bag. And honestly, we don't like to see a single power becoming a hegemonic power in the Indian Ocean.
The highest risk. Vaccination of 12 to 19-year-olds to begin next Monday in stages with the island-wide rollout from October 4th. The Express Pearl. The Marine Environment Protection Authority hopes to submit second interim claim this week.
Actually, we think that we'll be able to get another payment from them very soon.
However, maritime law expert says Sri Lanka may have missed out a trick.
We should have taken much input from foreign experts in addressing the issues very carefully and to the point.
Cloak and dagger. A conspiracy behind the NMRA data deletion is exposed in Parliament with fingers pointed at the country's pharma mafia. All that and much more coming up on First at 9. This Tuesday, the 21st of September, 2021.
දසනකාන්තී චූර්ණය සහිත ලීවර් ආයිෂ් දන්තාලේපය දත්වල ඇති ප්‍රශ්න 10ක් වලකයි.
From AdaDerana, this is AdaDerana First at 9. Live from Studio 24 in Colombo.
Good evening and welcome to First at 9. I'm Dhamike Kanaka. Now then, the dates for child vaccinations have been announced by the government, with children above the age of 12 with disabilities and underlying health conditions set to get their shots starting from Friday the 24th. In a bid to ensure safer reopening of schools, the government announced that vaccinations for children will go island-wide from the 4th of next month. Meanwhile, the country's vaccine procurement process has now come to its final stages, with even advance payments made for booster doses.
Health officials across the country and around the world rooted for child vaccinations, calling it the prudent thing to do in order to pave way for a safer reopening of schools without a further delay. However, when problems arose with regard to the brand of vaccine suitable for child vaccinations, Pfizer emerged as a solution, since it is the only vaccine tested on children. With that being the case, government announced plans to inoculate school children under several phases using the Pfizer vaccine. Today, the dates in general were announced in Parliament.
අද දිනේ අප තීරණය කරා දරුවන්ට එන්නත් ලබා දීම සඳහා දින නියම කරන්න. ඒ අනුව වයස අවුරුදු 12ට වැඩි ආබාධ සහ නිදන්ගත රෝග වලින් පෙළෙන දරුවන්ට මේ එළඹෙන සිකුරාදා දිනේ කොළඹ රිජ්වේ ආර්යා ළමාරෝහලේදී එන්නත් කරණය ආරම්භ කරනවා. ඒ වගේම 27 වෙනිදා ලබන සඳුදා බස්නාහිර පළාතේ සෙසු ප්‍රදේශවල රෝහල් වලින් අවුරුදු 12ට වැඩි ආබාධ සහ නිදන්ගත අසනීප තියෙන දරුවන්ට එන්නත් ලබා දීම ආරම්භ කරනවා. ඔක්තෝබර් මාසේ 4 වන දින සිට දීප ව්‍යාප්තව ලංකාව පුරාම අවුරුදු 12ට වැඩි ආබාධ සහ නිදන්ගත රෝග තියෙන දරුවන්ට එන්නත් ලබා දීම කරනවා. ඒ සඳහා අපි Pfizer එන්නත තමයි යොදා ගන්න බලාපොරොත්තු වෙන්නේ.
What's more, the island has also come to the final stages of vaccine procurement, with the last batch of the Sinopharm vaccine arriving over the weekend.
We have 15.7 million population above the age of 18 in Sri Lanka, and with the last consignment of Sputnik and Sinopharm, we have secured 31.7 million doses for the whole country, which is adequate to vaccinate above 18 population with 2 doses. So the responsibility of procuring vaccines were given to State Pharmaceutical Corporation in January 2021, and by the end of August, we have completed the total procurement process and ordered and imported in full the total necessary doses to Sri Lanka.
The SPC chief also assures that even vaccine doses required for a possible booster dose are also secured, with advance payment already made.
Irrespective of the vaccine, whenever it is necessary, we are ready to give the booster dose, and we have secured the booster dose for our population, and you don't have to worry about any shortage of any vaccines. So far, we secured the total required doses for double vaccination, and we have secured the third dose also, which is scheduled to be given starting from mid-October or early November to the total population if needed. So that is based on the recommendations of ACCD, and I think they will give the due recommendation and approval to start the booster vaccination in due course.
The vaccine aversion among the youth has become a growing concern in Sri Lanka's vaccination story, with medical experts observing a low turnout in the 20 to 30-year age group for immunisation. At the centre of it all are misconceptions harboured by the youth on alleged side effects of COVID vaccines, despite clarifications offered by health authorities time and time again.
A quarantine curfew may be in effect. Certain sectors of the economy and society might have their wings clipped temporarily. But one thing which had been constant, even amidst obstacles and various restrictions, is the continuation of the national vaccination drive. The speed of the program is such, it garnered praise from various factions in the world, including the World Health Organization. By last evening, 11,124,145 people had been fully immunized against COVID-19, with 2,678,799 persons also waiting the second dose. These figures could well have been far greater. Surprisingly, only 59,187 vaccinations had been carried out yesterday. There are plenty of vaccination centres, but there's a problem.
At the moment, we are targeting basically people between 20 and 30, but we are continuing the vaccination of people above 30 as well as above 60. However, the turnout at the immunization centers by this age group is not as expected.
The immunization of the 20 to 30-year age group was conducted today as well, but the lack of enthusiasm was well on display. In the area of Batiklo, vaccine centres where long queues would be expected were sparse of people. Only few young people were seen getting their jab. The vaccine aversion among the youth is becoming a problem. At the heart of that problem is misconception.
There are certain rumors going in that young people will get side effects of vaccination, which are not true and unscientific, and specialists from medical profession very clearly stated that there are no such complications like impotence or subfertility related to vaccines, and encourage young people to get the vaccination so that we can control this illness. And also there is a rumor going that one vaccine is better than the other one, but no scientific data is there to such theory. Even in US or Israel or United Kingdom, they are planning to give booster doses. In those countries, they have used AstraZeneca and Pfizer vaccines.
Some people have reverted to cherry-picking certain brands of vaccine, which also doesn't help the situation.
රටවල් කීපයක් විතරක් මම හිතන්නේ එන්නත වර්ගයේ පිළිබඳ විමසනවා. නමුත් මේ එන්නත වර්ගයේ ඒගොල්ලන්ට අදාළ මේක නැතිනම් රටට බාරගන්නේ නැහැ කියලා එකක් නැහැ. රටට යන්න පුළුවන්. නමුත් රටේ සමහර ලාවට නිරෝධායනය වෙන්න වෙනවා සති දෙකක් විතර. ඉතින් ඒක තමයි මේකේ වෙනස තියෙන්නේ. මම නම් දන්න තරමින් නම් වීසා රිජෙක්ට් කරනවද කියන එක ගැන මට හරියටම අදහසක් නැහැ මේ එන්නත් වර්ගය දිහා බලලා. ඒක නම් බොහෝම කලාතුරකින් වෙන දෙයක් වෙන්න තියෙ හිම දෙයක් වෙනවා නම්. නමුත් අපි ඇත්තටම මේ රට යන එක සමහරවිට තව අවුරුද්දකින් දෙකකින් වෙන දෙයක් වෙන්න පුළුවන්. නමුත් අද ඔබ ජීවත් වෙලා ඉන්න ඕන.
Meanwhile, with the arrival of a fresh batch of Sputnik vaccines on Sunday, the above 30 population awaiting the second dose of it in the division of Kundasale in Kandy got their jabs today. On a separate note, health authorities are also upbeat about the progress made in inoculating expectant mothers.
දකුණු ආසියාතික රටවල් අතරින් ප්‍රථමයෙන්ම ගර්භණී මව්වරුන් එන්නත් කරන්නට ලක් කරේ ශ්‍රී ලංකාව වැඩසටහනක් විදිහට සියලුම ගර්භණී මව්වරුන් ආවරණය කිරීමේ ඉලක්කය මත මේ අනුව අපි දැනට 80ක් 90ක් පමණ ආවරණයක් ලබාගෙන තියෙනවා ගර්භණී මව්වරුන් එන්නත් කරණය කිරීම තුලිනුත් මා ඉල්ලා සිටිනවා දැනටමත් මේ එන්නත ලබා නොගත ගර්භණී මව්වරුන් ඉන්නවා තමන්ගේ ප්‍රදේශයේ පෞල් සෞඛ්‍ය සේවා නිලධාරිනිය එහෙම නැත්නම් සෞඛ්‍ය නිලධාරී කාර්යාලය අමතලා පැමිණලා මේ එන්නත් ලබා ගන්න කියලා.
Just as it is with the youth, misconceptions are having an impact on vaccinating expectant mothers as well. And just as it had been in the past, the advice to expectant mothers remains the same.
දෙකල් අපිට කිසිම වාර්තාවක් නැහැ මේ එන්නත් ලබාගත් මව්වරුන්ට කිසිම ආසාත්මිකතාවයක් සහ අධික සංකූලතාවයක් ඇති වුණා කියලා. එහෙම නැත්නම් දරුවාට මොකද ප්‍රශ්නයක් ඇති වුණාද කියලා. ඔය දරුවනොත් අපි දරුවා ලැබිලත් මාසයක් යනකම් මේ මව්වරුන් පරීක්ෂා කරලා බලනවා මවට සහ දරුවට යම් කිසි අතුරු ආබාධයක් ඇති වුණාද කියන එක. දැන් මව්වරු ලක්ෂයකට වැඩි ප්‍රමාණයක් මේ එන්නත ලබාගෙනත් තියෙනවා අපේ සායන මධ්‍යස්ථාන වලින්.
State Minister of Production, Supply and Regulation of Pharmaceuticals, Professor Channa Jasmine, told Parliament today that the deletion of crucial National Medicines Regulatory Authority data looks to be a conspiracy by the pharmaceutical mafia in the country to cover up major overpricing of vital medicines during emergency procurements by the previous government. The State Minister added that over 1 billion rupees had been overcharged by such operators in connivance with individuals within the government.
Parliament sessions resumed today where several acts were submitted by the Ministry of Finance pertaining to the Excise Ordinance, the Ports and Airports Development Levy, the Special Commodity Levy, the Foreign Exchange Act and the Imports and Exports Control Act. However, several key members of the cabinet were absent today, including Finance Minister Basil Rajapaksa. Meanwhile, responding to a series of questions posed by opposition leader Sajith Premadasa today on the recent deletion of data from the National Medicine Regulatory Authority database, State Minister for Production, Supply and Regulation of Pharmaceuticals, Professor Channa Jasmine, explained that initial probes point fingers at a conspiracy led by the pharmaceutical mafia that he says attempted to cover up their misdeeds carried out during emergency procurements during the previous regime's tenure.
ගරු පක්ෂනායකතුමනි ඔබතුමා යොමු කළපු පළවෙනි ප්‍රශ්නයේ පළවෙනි කොටසට පිළිතුර නියෝජ්‍ය සොලිසිටර් ජෙනරාල් වරයා ගරු අධිකරණයට දැක්වූ කරුණ අපරාධ පරීක්ෂණ දෙපාර්තමේන්තුව මේ සම්බන්ධයෙන් සිදු කරගෙන යන විමර්ශන මත පදනම් වූවකි. ඖෂධ මාෆියාව මෙරට තුල 2015 2019 තුල පෙර කිසි දිනක නොවිවිරු පරිදි බලවත් විය. මේ වන විට ඖෂධ මාෆියාවට පෙර පරිදි රිසිසේ කටයුතු කිරීමට නොහැකි වීම නිසා ඇති වූ ඉච්ඡාබංගත්වය අසීමිත මූල්‍යමය වාසි නොලැබීම හේතුවෙන් ඇති වූ ද්වේෂය මත දත්ත පද්ධතියට පහර දුන්නා විය හැකියි. මෙහි සත්‍ය කරුණු සහ මේ පිටුපස සිටින්නේ කවුරුන්ද යන වගේ අපරාධ පරීක්ෂණ දෙපාර්තමේන්තුව විමර්ශන මගින් අනාවරණය කරමින් පවතී.
Following this, the State Minister then tabled a list of 35 pharmaceutical items that he says were purchased at heavily inflated prices and revealed that included in the deleted data folder were the supporting documents that could be the smoking gun that proves the entire conspiracy.
එතකොට මේ මැකිලා ගිය දත්ත ඇතුලේ මොනවාද තිබුණේ කියන එක ගැන මම කෙටියෙන් පැහැදිලි කරලා මගේ පිළිතුර නිමා කරනවා. විශේෂයෙන්ම 2015 19 මේ කාලෙදී ඖෂධ මිලදී ගැනීමේදී ඇතැම් ඖෂධ සඳහා අසාමාන්‍ය මිලක් රාජ්‍ය වියදම් කරලා තියෙනවා. ඒ සම්බන්ධයෙන් ඒ ඖෂධ මොනවද කියලා ලැයිස්තුගත කරලා ඒ පිළිබඳ නිසි විමර්ශනයක් සිදු කරන්න කියලා අපි අපරාධ පරීක්ෂණ දෙපාර්තමේන්තුවට දැනුම් දුන්නා. ඒ වගේම තමයි අපි මේ වෙනකොට රාජ්‍ය ඖෂධ නීතිගත සංස්ථාව හරහා ඒ වෙනුවෙන් කටයුතු කරගෙන යනවා. මේ ඒ වගේ ඖෂධ කීපයක් ගරු කතානායකතුමනි කැප්ටෝප්‍රිල් සිරප් එක 5 මිලිග්‍රෑම් සිරප් එක 2019 දී මිලදී අරගෙන තියෙන්නේ රුපියල් 55185කට. අපි ආවට පස්සේ 2020 අවුරුද්දේදී රුපියල් 395ට ගරු කතානායකතුමනි මිලදී ගත්තේ 138 වතාවක්. 138 වතාවක් මිල ඉහළයි. ලොරසිපෑම් ඉන්ජෙක්ෂන් එක රුපියල් 17957කට මිලදී අරගෙන තියෙන්නේ. අපි ආවට පස්සේ රුපියල් 373කට මිලදී ගත්තේ. ගරු කතානායකතුමනි මෙට්‍රමිනෝල් ඉන්ජෙක්ෂන් එක රුපියල් 16736කට මිලදී ගත්තේ. ඒක රුපියල් 3875කට අඩු වුණා. මේ සියලු ලැයිස්තුව මිල අධික අපි විමර්ශනය සඳහා බාර දීලා තියෙන මිල අධික ඖෂධ 35ක ලැයිස්තුව මම සභාගත කරනවා ගරු කතානායකතුමනි. ඒ වගේම තමයි හදිසි මිලදී ගැනීම ලෙස හුවා දක්වමින් රුපියල් මිලියන 1140කට ආසන්න ප්‍රමාණයක වටිනාකම නිඳු ඖෂධ මිලදී අරන් තියෙනවා. අසාමාන්‍ය වියදම් කරලා ඒ පිළිබඳ පරීක්ෂණයක් කරන්න කියලා අපි අපරාධ පරීක්ෂණ දෙපාර්තමේන්තුවට දැනුම් දුන්නා. ඉල්ලීමක් කරා අමාත්‍යාංශ මට්ටමින් පරීක්ෂණයක් කරනවා. උදාහරණයක් කියනවා නම් රිටුක්සුමැබ් ඉන්ජෙක්ෂන් එක රුපියල් 55000ට අරන් තියෙන්නේ. හැබැයි අපි ඒක රුපියල් 17735කට ගත්තා. එමගින් ඉතුරු වුණ මිදල පමණක් රුපියල් මිලියන 128ක් වෙනවා. පැරසිටමෝල් සපෝසිටරි එක මේක රුපියල් 165කට අරන් තියෙන්නේ. දැන් ගන්නේ රුපියල් 12යි. ඩෙක්සාමෙතසෝන් මිලිග්‍රෑම් 4 ටැබ්ලට් එක රුපියල් 153කට අරන් තියෙන්නේ. දැන් ගන්නේ රුපියල් 6.49ට. මේ සියලු ලේඛන මම සභාගත කරන්න කැමතියි. ගරු විපක්ෂ නායකතුමනි, මෙම ඖෂධ සම්බන්ධයෙන් ලියකියවිලි ටික තමයි මේ ඖෂධ සම්බන්ධ දත්ත ගොනුවේ තියලා මැකුණේ. රුපියල් බිලියන ගණනක පාඩුවක් රටට වෙච්ච ඖෂධ පිළිබඳව විමර්ශන පටන් ගත්තට පස්සේ තමයි ඒ කියන ලිපි ගණුව මේ දත්ත ක්ලවුඩෙන් මැකිලා ගිහිල්ලා තියෙන්නේ. ඒ ප්‍රතිස්ථාපනය කිරීම සඳහා අපි මේ වෙනකොට කටයුතු කරගෙන යනවා. ඒ වගේම තමයි මේවා මැකුවේ කවුද කියන කාරණේ හොයලා අපරාධ පරීක්ෂණ දෙපාර්තමේන්තුවේ තොරතුරු ලැබුණාට පස්සේ අනිවාර්යෙන් ඒ සඳහා නීතිමය ක්‍රියාමාර්ග ගන්නවා කරු කතානායකතුමනි.
බොහොම ස්තුතියි.
Big Three.
Now, the 76th session of the United Nations General Assembly got underway today, with the floor being open for the high-level general debate. The debate will run until the 27th of this month, with President Gotabaya Rajapaksa set to address the chamber tomorrow. Meanwhile, the President held bilateral talks with Kuwaiti Premier today, drawing his attention on a number of matters, including investment opportunities in the island.
The 76th session of the United Nations General Assembly commenced with the high-level general debate in New York today, with the debate set to continue until the 27th. Held under the theme Building Resilience Through Hope to Recover from COVID-19, Rebuild Sustainability, Respond to the Needs of the Planet, Respect the Rights of People and Revitalize the United Nations, this year's session will be addressed by 193 member states. In a 6-day-long debate, it's Sri Lanka's turn tomorrow, with President Gotabaya Rajapaksa set to address the chamber. According to the President's media division, the head of state is also scheduled to speak at the Food Systems Summit and the high-level dialogue on energy, which will be held parallel to the UN General Assembly. Meanwhile, the President met with the Prime Minister of Kuwait, Sheikh Sabah Al Khalid Al Hamad Al Sabah, in Manhattan today. The President's media division reported that the President had drawn the attention of the Kuwaiti Premier on the investment opportunities available to Kuwait at the Colombo port city, solar and wind energy, as well as in oil refining sectors. The President has made a request for more employment opportunities for skilled workers to be employed in Kuwait.
Foreign Minister Professor G.L. Pires, meanwhile, met his Australian counterpart Marise Payne in New York. While updating the Australian Foreign Minister on the headway Sri Lanka has made on the reconciliation front, Minister Pires had stated that there is a need to allow local institutions the space and opportunity to carry out their mandates, and the establishment of an ad hoc external mechanism that overrides this work is unnecessary and detrimental. He added that it is premature and inappropriate to have a mechanism selectively targeting Sri Lanka and goes against the very principles of the UN Charter. Minister Payne had said that there is a very warm and significant Sri Lankan diaspora in Australia, and she welcomed enhanced cooperation between the two countries, particularly in the field of intelligence sharing and education. In the meantime, addressing a special dialogue on the Indian Ocean organised by the Carnegie Endowment for International Peace in New York yesterday, Foreign Secretary Professor Admiral Jayanth Kolambage outlined Sri Lanka's aspirations for the region as a key strategic player. The Foreign Secretary stated that Sri Lanka will not stand for other countries attempting to use the island as a punching bag, and neither will it allow hegemonic moves to threaten India's security interests. He also called for an Indian Ocean regional strategy drawn up by littoral states in the ocean to deal with confusion of having many players in the game.
Addressing a special 2-day dialogue on island nations' perceptions of regional priorities and challenges in the Indian and Pacific Oceans, Foreign Secretary Admiral Jayanth Kolambage laid out Sri Lanka's foreign policy aspirations for the Indian Ocean, saying that Sri Lanka will not be a pawn in a power struggle. Admiral Kolambage added that most importantly, Sri Lanka will not stand for a single hegemonic power becoming a security threat to its closest neighbour India.
Now, we don't want to be the soccer pitch, the chessboard, or the punching bag. Insecurity of some has given rise to insecurity of many others, which has resulted in a security dilemma. We see the resurgence of traditional security concerns, and we don't want to be part of this competition. What we need is to mind our own business and prosper as a country. What we need is strategic autonomy, but not to be part of this competition. And honestly, we don't like to see a single power becoming a hegemonic power in the Indian Ocean. And very importantly is that we don't want any country to use our soil or our water to be a threat to another country, and especially so to India. The Indian Ocean is also nuclearized ocean. We have two countries in the Indian Ocean, that is India and Pakistan, who are nuclear powers. But if you take the Indian Ocean per se, there are other powers, some residential, some not, like USA, France, UK, Russia, and now enter the crocodile Dundee with a little more nuclear ambition, that is Australia, into the game. Indian Ocean is super rich with strategies. Topping the list is the America's Indo-Pacific strategy. Then we have Japan's free and open Indo-Pacific strategy. Now we have Australia's Indo-Pacific concept, India's Indian Ocean region strategy, and Sagar, security and growth for all in the region. Recently, the German came out with their own Indo-Pacific strategy, and then South Korea's New Southern Policy. Now, among these strategies, there is also China's Belt and Road Initiative, and of course, we now know there is another strategy that is UK, US. We don't know where this is heading right now because we see a lot of controversial things happening. In this situation, the Indian Ocean littorals, what do they want? I think what we really want is to maintain sovereignty. Now, we don't like to be forced to choose. We don't like to hedge one country against the other. We don't want to choose and bandwagon with one group of country against the other. What we need most is strategic autonomy to make decisions for our sake. So therefore, what we really need now is an Indian Ocean regional strategy to address the issues that we have been experiencing in the Indian Ocean.
Now, the Marine Environment Protection Authority today revealed that the government is hopeful of submitting a second interim claim to the owners of the MV Express Pearl for the massive destruction to the country's coastal environment. It also announced that the country is set to receive a second tranche of the initial interim claim made in June very soon. In the meantime, an expert in maritime law has criticised the government for not obtaining international assistance in utilising all legal avenues available in maximising its claims from the incident.
On the 20th of May, a fire broke aboard the feeder vessel MV Express Pearl, which was carrying 1,500 containers, including 25 tons of nitric acid. The incident happened 9.5 nautical miles or 18 kilometres away from the Colombo port, well within the country's territorial waters. Fast forward to the 2nd of June, the heavily damaged vessel started to sink, and steps were taken by the Sri Lanka Navy and the salvor team to tow the ship into deep seas. As it was being towed, however, the vessel sank and settled on the seabed, still within Sri Lankan waters. In the days the incident took shape, the world saw one of the, if not the worst marine pollution the world has ever seen. Oil spills from the vessel and acid leakages from the cargo containers left incalculable amount of marine life dead.
Actually, it has taken nearly 70 days, but the damage is enormous. So we are looking to the damage assessment in many aspects. So it actually will take another couple of months, we believe. At the moment, we have nearly 40 experts who gathered to do this mammoth task under 11 thematic areas. We are proceeding well, and also we are getting analytical testings done in Sri Lanka from Sri Lankan laboratory, as well as we have sent some samples to foreign laboratories as well for analytical testing. Those results yet to receive. It will take a couple of months for us to get the final outcome of this environmental damage assessment.
Apart from the death of sea creatures, millions and millions of plastic pellets were also released from the containers into the sea. The spread of those was so vast, they even littered the beaches from Kirinda to Mana. As efforts were taken to clear the coastline of the harmful substance, more and more pellets washed ashore. No one really knows how much of it is still in the Sri Lankan waters.
Daily we do carry out a shoreline assessment through our regional staff, and then we prioritize, we identify what are the areas impacted, highly polluted, and then we plan accordingly and we deploy manpower accordingly. So this cleanup process is taking place throughout this period, and as of today I think we have deployed more than 31 man days, and we have collected nearly 3,500 metric tons of waste across this area, and we have actually kept all those waste in a safe and secure manner in 2 yards, which actually has obtained hazardous waste storing facility license from Central Environmental Authority. I think at least it will take another 6 months for us to completely finish this task.
With the environmental damage from the ship disaster weighing heavy on Sri Lanka, the government submitted their first interim claim of $40 million to recover the direct costs incurred from the 20th of May to the 2nd of June. That was in the second week of June. But from the asking sum of $40 million, around $3.6 million was received by the Central Bank of Sri Lanka. The Marine Environmental Protection Authority, however, is expecting another portion from the first interim claim soon. What's more, a second interim claim is also in the pipelines.
The insurance club requested us to provide supporting documents and invoices, which we have done. Actually, we think that we'll be able to get another payment from them very soon. And also, MIPA is in the process of doing the second interim claim from the insurers. I think hopefully we'll be able to complete our second interim claim within this week. That's actually covering from 2nd June to 31st August.
However, a maritime law expert is of the view that Sri Lanka's compensation claim was not watertight.
The PNI has found that there are several shortcomings in the interim claim, and that's the reason that they have cut down to 3.6. Some of the very important claims have been omitted by the PNI club on the basis that our law enforcement authorities and especially the Attorney General Department has failed to provide the relevant vouchers pertaining to such costs. So there are several costs of such nature, including the environmental damage as well as the other logistical parts that Sri Lankan government had to face.
The ship sank on the 3rd of June. Over 3.5 months have passed since, and the vessel has not been moved. The Marine Environment Protection Authority is confident that there is no bunker oil left in the submerged vessel, but it still has to be verified before the wreck can be moved.
At the moment, the vessel is under a caretaker company. It's an American company named Resolve Marine. This particular company is carrying out underwater survey using a remotely operated vehicle to identify the situation of the underwater, because we know there are many containers scattered all over the seabed. So they're actually at the last phase of the underwater assessment, and the owners actually have called international tenders to remove the wreck, and this will be closed on the 21st of September, and hopefully whoever who will get the award to remove the wreck will commence end October or early November based on the condition of the sea. And from a marine environment protection point of view, we will advise potential wreck remover to ascertain the status of the bunker oil contained in the vessel and to remove any oil remains to transfer it to a separate tanker prior to carry out any other activities.
Not all share the same confidence of the Marine Environment Protection Authority on the wreckage not having any bunker oil left.
Constant reporting system has to take place to minimize pollution damage and any threat to the marine environment. So on one hand, we have the ship, which is a wreck now, and that also still poses threat of oil pollution from the bunkers, as well as it is a risk and block to the navigable waters nearby the Port of Colombo and crossing this very important maritime route.
Dr. Dan Malika Gunasekara believes that Sri Lanka missed a trick in failing to seek foreign assistance in specific legal maneuvers and techniques in dealing with the incident.
When this incident happened, we should have gone into litigation. But even now, we do not see that any litigation has been commenced. And no litigation will come in the near future because still our government is negotiating with the PNI Club for settlement of these claims. We need to go with much stronger case against those who are responsible. We should have taken much input from foreign experts in addressing the issues very carefully and to the point, and how to obtain this compensation.
Now to take a look at the stock market. It ended in red today with the ASPI and S&P SL20 index closing 31.56 and 25.08 points down respectively. Today's turnover was recorded at 1.7 billion rupees, drastically down compared to the market turnover levels during gaining trends. With that, here's Dimantha Matthew with a brief report on today's market performance.
After the long weekend, we are having a sort of a dip in the activity levels, with the index also following declining trend. So today is the third consecutive day we are seeing the market in red. The market is down by 31 points as the index dipped to 8,770 points. We are seeing the S&P SL20 also dipping at a similar pace, with the market being 23 points down. We are seeing the overall retail favorite counters topping the turnover list still. However, the turnover has drastically declined. We are seeing today's turnover levels of only 1.7 billion rupees compared to sizably large levels of 5 billion plus levels of turnover when the market was on a gaining trend.
The rupee, meanwhile, remained unchanged today at 202.99 cents against the US dollar. Now let's take a look at how the Sri Lankan rupee fared against other major currencies during the day. And that's it from all of us here at First at 9. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.